This is the story of Rejoice, a girl whose life was shattered at the age of 8 when her aunt poured boiling water on her face, leaving permanent scars. Abandoned by her father and rejected by her aunt, she grew up in pain and poverty, but refused to let her suffering define her. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Rejoice. She was just 8 years old when her life changed forever. Her mother had died during the birth of her brother, and her father, who was a bricklayer, couldn't take care of a baby and a little girl at the same time. So he did what he thought was best. He gave Rejoice to his wife's elder sister and took the baby boy with him to the city to hustle. "It's just for a while," he said, holding Rejoice by the hand. "You'll stay with your mother's sister. She will treat you like her own." But that was a lie, because from the moment Rejoice stepped into that house in Aba, her life became a nightmare. Auntie Monica was a bitter woman. Her own husband had run off with a younger woman, and she blamed everyone for her pain. She had 2 children, Justin and Terry. They went to a private school, wore neat clothes, and ate fresh bread with butter. But Rejoice, she slept on the cold floor beside the kitchen, wore old clothes, and only ate after everyone else had finished. "You think you are a princess? You think you will come to my house and be forming madam?" She would shout, flinging soapy water on Rejoice's face. Rejoice washed plates, fetched water, cooked food, and cleaned the toilet, and still got slapped every single day. But she never complained. She would lie on her mat at night, staring at the ceiling and whispering to her late mother, "Mommy, I miss you. Why did you leave me?" Her small voice would crack as tears rolled down her cheeks. At school, she was quiet. She didn't play much, but she was smart. Her teacher, Mrs. Grace, always called her the bright one. "You have a gift, Rejoice. Don't let anyone make you feel small." But how could she believe that? She had scars on her back from broomsticks, burn marks from burning accidents, and bruises from Auntie Monica's rings. One day, everything changed. It was a Saturday morning, and Rejoice had mistakenly burnt the rice while cooking. She forgot to check the pot on time because she was sweeping the compound. When Auntie Monica entered the kitchen and saw the rice burnt, her eyes turned red. "You, this useless girl, you want to waste my food? Do you know how much rice is in the market?" Before Rejoice could explain, hot tears already clouded her eyes. "Auntie, I'm sorry. I forgot. I didn't mean to. I was sweeping the compound." Then it happened. Auntie Monica grabbed a kettle of boiling water she had taken off the gas and, without blinking, poured it straight on Rejoice's face. The scream that came out of that child would haunt anyone for life. It wasn't just a cry of pain. It was the sound of innocence being burnt alive. My face! Mommy! Mommy! Mommy!" She screamed, clawing the air, written on the ground. Justin and Terry stood frozen, too scared to move. "Now, you will learn. You want to waste my food? Foolish girl!" Auntie Monica shouted, dropping the kettle like it was nothing. Neighbors rushed in. Someone called Kevin. They rushed out to a nearby clinic. The nurses screamed when they saw her. "Who did this to her? This is boiled water. This is not an accident." This is wickedness. Her face was swollen, her left eye completely shut, her skin peeled like yam. For days, she couldn't open her mouth fully. She cried in her sleep and shook when she heard loud voices. The police were called, but Auntie Monica, a church woman with connections, lied. She was playing in the kitchen. I warned her not to. She poured it on herself. God knows, I love that child like my own. No one believed her, but they had no proof. And just like that, the case died. But something else was born that day. Rejoice's silence. She stopped speaking for weeks. Even after she was discharged, she barely looked people in the eye. As a result of her not being able to communicate with anyone, Auntie Monica took her back to the village after destroying her face to go stay with her grandmother. She had scars now, deep, angry ones, but even deeper were the ones that nobody could see. That night in the village, she sat up alone behind her grandmother's kitchen, looking up at the stars. God, why do wicked people win? Why did you let her do this to me? Then she whispered, almost like a promise, one day I will not be poor again, and I will never beg for food. I will never live in anyone's house again. The first time Rejoice looked into a mirror after the burns, she didn't recognize the face staring back at her. The skin was no longer soft and smooth. It was angry, twisted and swollen in patches. Her left eye had a permanent droop, and her once smooth cheek now looked like cracked clay. She touched her face slowly with shaky fingers and whispered, "Is this me?" No one answered. She had been back in Umokoro village for almost 3 weeks now. Her father hadn't come to see her, and her grandmother mostly sat by the fire, sighing and praying under her breath. But one evening, as the sky turned dark purple and the air smelled of roasted maize, Rejoice sat behind her grandmother's kitchen, looking up at the stars, when a whisper startled her. "Rejoice, is that you?" She froze. That voice. Slowly, she turned her head. Standing there in the shadow was her father, Efani, but he didn't look like the man she remembered. His face was thin with sunken eyes and graying hair. He looked like a man carrying years of regrets. "I heard what happened," he said, his voice cracking. "I came as soon as I could." Rejoice stared at him, not blinking. "Why now?" she asked, her voice low and flat. He dropped to his knees. "I'm sorry. My baby, I should have never left you with Auntie Monica. I thought she would take care of you. I didn't know." "But you never checked," she said. "You left me there." Silence filled the air. Only the crickets spoke. Finally, he reached out his hand. "Come with me, Rejoice. Let me try to be your father again." She went, not because she forgave him, but because something inside her said, "You can't stay here forever." Oh, it was a different world, loud, busy, and restless. She moved into the one-room apartment with her father and her little brother, Chibiki, who was now 6 years old. He was cheerful and loud and always hugged her without fear of her scars, and it surprised her. She began selling pure water on the street after school. Every afternoon, she would balance her basin on her head, walking around the junctions trying to make some money. People stared, some laughed. "Ah, See her face. Who poured hot water on this one? Fear girls with spiritual problems, so. But Rejoice kept walking. One sunny afternoon, outside the campus gate of a nursing school, a well-dressed woman bought sachet water from her. She looked rich and well-dressed. "What is your name?" the woman asked. "Rejoice." The woman looked at her closely. "Your face, what happened?" Rejoice hesitated and quietly said, "My aunt poured boiling water on me." The woman was silent for a moment. Then she reached into her purse and gave her a card. "My name is Miss Adora. I run a foundation for girls who have been abused. Come to this address tomorrow. Bring your school reports if you have them." That meeting changed Rejoice's life. Miss Adora helped her enroll in a scholarship program, paid her school fees, bought her uniforms, and introduced her to therapy. For the first time in years, Rejoice smiled without hiding her mouth. She became a top student in her class. Teachers noticed her brilliance. She read every book she could find, and in her spare time, she volunteered at the local clinic, helping nurses and learning how they worked. By the time she finished secondary school, she had gotten admission to study nursing at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and she didn't stop there. At 27, Rejoice was living in Lagos. At 30, she was in the UK, working in a big hospital. Her accent had changed, and her confidence had grown. Her scars were still there, but now they had become her identity, not her shame. She wore them like armor. Every time someone asked, "What happened to your face?" she would say with a smile, "My past happened. I got over it. I survived." One morning, after finishing her shift, Rejoice opened her phone to find a Facebook message request. The name she saw sent cold chills down her body. "Auntie Monica." The message was short, just 6 words. "Rejoice, please help me. I'm dying." She stared at the screen for almost 10 minutes. Was this a joke? After everything that woman did, after the lies, the pain, the hot water. Another message popped up. "I have no one. Please." Rejoice's hand shook. She stood up from her bed, paced the room, then opened her window to breathe. The London air was cold, but her chest was burning. A flood of memories returned. The kettle, the scream, her skin peeling, the lies, the fake tears, the police officer who said there's not enough evidence. She thought of replying, then paused. Instead, she booked a flight to Nigeria, not because she wanted revenge, but because something deep inside her needed to see that woman again, not as a little girl she wounded, but as the woman she had become. This time, they would face each other on equal ground. The airplane touched down in Lagos with a heavy thought in Rejoice's heart. She hadn't been home in 8 years. She had never planned to return, not after what the country had taken from her. But here she was again, suitcase in hand, wearing a white blouse that covered the scar on her neck and dark shades to hide her eyes. Not out of shame. She wasn't hiding. She just didn't want to be recognized. Not yet. As she stepped outside the airport, the hot Lagos air wrapped around her like a blanket, soaked in memories. Her phone vibrated. It was another message, but from Justin. "We are at Glory Clinic in Iju. She's unconscious. The doctor says you should come fast." Rejoice stared at the message. That same Justin who once laughed when she was slapped. That same Justin who said, You're not even our real family. Now, he was the one begging her to come. She shook her head slowly. Life is strange, she said to herself. The ride to the clinic was silent. Rejoice stared out of the window of the Uber, her fingers coiled into her palm. She remembered the screams, the burn, the betrayal, and the silence. She remembered sitting in that dry clinic in Aba, begging God not to let her die. She remembered Auntie Monica's voice saying to the nurse she poured it on herself. And now Auntie Monica was in a clinic bed too. God really knows how to turn tables. When she walked into Glory Clinic, everyone turned. Her aura was different, strong and elegant. The nurses at the front desk didn't even ask questions. They just directed her in. Justin stood at the ward entrance, looking aged and broken. He recognized her instantly. Rejoice, he said, eyes wide with guilt. I didn't think you would come. I didn't come for you, she replied quietly. She's very sick, liver failure. She's been in pain for months. Everything she had is gone, even the house we sold it for treatment. Rejoice didn't say a word. She kept asking of you, Justin added. Rejoice looked at him. Did she tell you what she did to me? Justin lowered his head. I was just a child. I didn't understand. I was a child too, Rejoice replied. When she entered the room, it felt like time stopped. There she was, Auntie Monica, once tall, loud and full of fire, now reduced to bone and oxygen tubes. Her skin had lost its shine. Her lips trembled and her fingers looked like dry sticks. Rejoice walked to the foot of the bed. Auntie Monica opened her eyes slowly and weakly. Their eyes met for the first time in 22 years. Rejoice, she breathed. Rejoice didn't move. Her face was stone. I didn't know you would come. I did, Rejoice replied coldly. I've been waiting to say sorry. Rejoice narrowed her eyes. Sorry for pouring hot water on me? Sorry for the scars on my face? Or sorry because you need me now? Which one is it? Tears spilled from Auntie Monica's eyes. I was bitter. Your mother, she married the man I loved. Your father was mine first. Because she took him from me, Rejoice, I couldn't bear to raise her daughter. Every time I look at you, I saw her. It ate me alive. Rejoice's heart skipped. You poured boiling water on a child because of a man. I was broken, Auntie Monica said. And I broke you too. Silence filled the room. The heart monitor beeped slowly. Rejoice felt her hands trembling. She had waited years for this moment to see her broken, to hear her cry, to hear the words I'm sorry. But now that it had come, she didn't feel peace or triumph. She felt empty. I don't hate you, Rejoice said softly. I just don't need you anymore. Tears rolled down Auntie Monica's wrinkled cheeks. I don't have anyone, she whispered. That's the same thing I felt for years, Rejoice replied, but I survived. 3 hours later, Rejoice stood outside the clinic, the sun setting behind her. She had called the doctors, paid the bills, arranged for better treatment, not because her aunt deserved it, but because she deserved peace. As she was walking toward her car, Justin ran after her. You paid everything? He asked. Yes. But why? Rejoice looked at him and said, because I'm not her. I won't leave her to die like she left me to suffer. But don't mistake that for forgiveness. I don't owe anyone my healing. She entered the car and shut the door. Later that night at her hotel, her phone rang. It was the clinic. She's awake again. The nurse said, and she's asking for you. Rejoice stared at the ceiling and then whispered, tell her I'll come, but she won't like what I have to say next. The next morning was cloudy. It was like the sky was holding back tears. Rejoice stood outside the hospital gate, dressed in a simple gown with her hair tied neatly behind her head. No makeup, no jewelry, just her scars, her story, and the mission. Beside her stood a young woman holding a notepad with a camera. Her name was Chama, a journalist from a fast-rising media outlet in Lagos. She had interviewed Rejoice once about her work in medical outreach programs. When Rejoice called her the previous night and said, there's a story the world needs to hear, Chama did not hesitate. Inside the ward, Auntie Monica lay awake. Her body was weaker than the day before. Her skin had gone pale and her breathing was slow. But when she saw Rejoice step into the room with another woman carrying a camera, she froze. Who is that? She whispered. Rejoice pulled a chair close to the bed and sat. Chama stood quietly near the door, observing. I'm giving you something, Rejoice said calmly. The one thing you never gave me. What? Auntie Monica asked. A voice. For the next hour, Rejoice spoke. She told her story from beginning to end, how her mother died, how her father left her, how Auntie Monica beat her, stabbed her and poured boiling water on her, how she lived with scars, not just on her face but in her soul. How did you survive it all? Chama asked, trying not to cry. I remembered who I wanted to become, Rejoice said. Even when the world forgot me. Auntie Monica covered her face with her frail hands. I'm sorry, she said again. I was broken. No, you were cruel, Rejoice replied. All I need people to know is that cruelty doesn't go unpunished, even if the punishment is living long enough to regret everything you did. She turned to Chama. You can publish the story. Use her name. Use mine. Auntie Monica looked up in panic. Rejoice, please, I'm still your family. You were never my family, Rejoice said. You were the test that shaped me and I passed. Days later, the story went viral. People flooded Rejoice's social media with messages. Some called her a saint. Others couldn't understand why she helped her abuser. But she didn't care about public opinion. She didn't help her aunt for likes. She did it because she refused to become the monster. Some days passed and Rejoice returned to London. She went back to her hospital job, her quiet flat, her community service programs. But something inside her had shifted. The burden was gone. She no longer looked into the mirror and saw a victim. She was a conqueror. One Sunday evening, her phone rang. It was from Nigeria. Hello, she answered. This is Justin, the voice said. She passed away this morning. Rejoice closed her eyes and took a deep breath. May her soul rest in peace, she replied him. Will you be attending the burial? No, she said softly. Let the earth carry her. I have already let her go. A year later, Rejoice returned to Nigeria, not to bury pain, but to build something new in Umokoro village, where it all began. She launched a center called The Healing Place. It was a home for abused girls, abandoned children, and wounded souls. She gave them food, therapy, school, and most of all, hope. One of the guests asked her once, Auntie, why do you help people if they still hurt you? Because healing means choosing peace for myself, not holding on to what they did. If this story shocked you, hit the like button now and share your thoughts in the comments section. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell.